Benedict Arnold, Judas Iscariot, Darth Vader, Parker Livingston, four of the great traitors of our time. We're talking about Livingston's unfathomable decision to transfer to Oklahoma. Next on Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're Locked On to the Texas Longhorns, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network in the world. I'm your host, BK, Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you, everydayers, for making Locked On Longhorns your first listen every single day. We are, of course, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, so please subscribe. And as always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving a comment. So thank y'all sincerely for that. Today's episode is brought to you by Ruiette. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now is the time. Head to Ruiette.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Ruiette ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. We've got some good portal news to get to, believe it or not, in segment number 2. And also, where do the Longhorns go from here at running back following Jaden Ball's decision to stay at Florida? We'll get to those stories a little bit later. But first, let's talk about Parker Livingston, and his unfathomable, unthinkable, unspeakable, unbelievable, insert any word bull decision to transfer to the dark side. As if Longhorn fans weren't hurt enough by Livingston's decision to leave, the now former Texas wide receiver decided to pour a few gallons of salt in our wound by committing to the hated Oklahoma Sooners. I'm not sure how many times in the history of college football that a player has gone from as beloved to just flat out hated in the span of a week like Parker Livingston has. We've seen it with coaches a lot, and we'll continue to see it with coaches a lot moving forward, but it just doesn't happen very often with players. I mean, at this time last week, seriously, 7 days ago, Parker Livingston was helped lead Texas to a win over Michigan in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, putting a nice cap on a 10-win 2025 season. Not even a week later, we're seeing Longhorn fans burn jerseys, rip up trading cards, and badmouth the guy like he's a felonious criminal. I mean, a total 180. Let me start by saying this. I do not wish ill on Parker Livingston. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. It's his life. It's his decision. I don't want anything bad to happen to the young man on a personal level, and I hope y'all feel the same way. But on a professional level, I mean, Livingston is now a part of the enemy. As the son of two Longhorn parents, I've rooted against anybody associated with Oklahoma since I took my first breath on this earth. It's nothing personal. It's college sports, right? We despise our rivals almost as much as we love and embrace our favorite school. That's just how this goes. That's how it's always gone, and that's how it always will go. The second Saturday in October, I mean, it's always circled on my calendar. There is no better atmosphere in college sports. It's a game that I've been lucky enough to attend more than 10 times in my life. If you've never been to a Red River Shootout, by the way, please find a way to go. I highly encourage it, and I know you will thank me later. The scene at the Cotton Bowl is always special. This year, oh man, crank it up to 11, 12, 13. Maybe we need to keep going. There's going to be even more hatred between Texas and Oklahoma than maybe there has ever been. And look, there have been plenty of players who have participated in that game who have been loathed by half of the Cotton Bowl crowd. I mean, for Texas fans, I think of Baker Mayfield. I think of the Boz. I think of Adrian Peterson. I think of Keith Jackson, Sam Bradford, Billy Sims, Kyler Murray. The list goes on and on. Every Texas fan has their least favorite Oklahoma Sooner of all time. And it goes both ways for Oklahoma fans. I mean, they still call Chris Sims Chrissy Sims. They hate Colt McCoy. They despise Sam Ehlinger. I'm not as well versed in who Oklahoma fans hate, but there's 100 more names you could add to that list. Everybody on both sides of this rivalry, it's not just one. They've got a list of their most hated enemies from the opposite side of the Red River. Now for Texas fans, Parker Livingston has been added to that list. Anytime he catches a pass, it may be the loudest the Texas side cheers throughout the entire game. Even if the Longhorns win again, heck, even if the Longhorns keep Oklahoma out of the end zone again for what would be a third straight year and the fourth time in the last 5 seasons, I mean, it's going to be a madhouse all game long, but especially when Parker Livingston is on the field, and even more especially when he touches the football. And it'll be warranted because there's a line that you just don't cross. You just don't cross it. And Parker Livingston crossed it. I mean, every Texas fan's had flashbacks of Colt McCoy and Jordan Shipley throughout this 2025 season, and we were all hopeful for one last hurrah between the roommate duo in 2026. We saw some of it this year, but obviously Arch's first year as a starter, Livingston's first year as a starter, we're thinking, all right, look what these guys did. They were already a pretty dynamic duo in year one. Just wait and see what they put together in year two. We're not going to see that. Instead, we will see those two on the same field in 2026, but it'll only be one time, and it'll obviously be on opposite sidelines. And man, if the decision to transfer to Oklahoma wasn't bad enough, the way Parker Livingston handled this situation serves as another kick to the groin. I mean, maybe like 10 kicks to the groin in a row. The statement he released on social media late last week saying the decision was out of his control and, oh, this is the landscape of college sports nowadays. And, oh, yeah, there was a part in there where he called playing for Texas a dream come true. All of that rings so hollow now because it was all a lie. We already talked about this. Texas wanted Parker Livingston back. They made him a very good 6-figure NIL offer to return in 2026. Instead, Parker Livingston, who controlled his own decision, by the way, he and his agent, maybe his family and whoever else on his team, they made the decision to take more money at Oklahoma. The dream was not to play for the Texas Longhorns. The dream, apparently, was to get a raise in 2026. And, of course, Parker Livingston is not the only player to switch schools for cash. We're seeing this everywhere. Texas is going to benefit from that. Texas is going to lose from that. Every school in the country is dealing with that right now. It's how the transfer portal and NIL works. Not breaking any news to anyone here. But there's a difference between taking more money at Indiana, another place that Parker Livingston visited, or USC, or Arizona, or just insert non-Oklahoma here, than there is in taking the bag at OU. A big difference between doing that and going to Oklahoma. So to leave, that's one thing. To go to your biggest rival after you leave, that's another thing. To blatantly lie about your former school and basically pee on your fan base on your way out the door, that's a whole nother level of thing right there. I miss when rivalries used to mean something to the players, not just the fans. This all makes college football feel less personal, which is one of the things that distinguish this sport from the NFL, and one of the reasons why I love it so much. And I still do love college football. I always will, no matter how much it changes, no matter how imperfect it is. And there are plenty of imperfections and blemishes going on with our favorite sport right now. But this was a separator, and now it feels like it's going out the window. Parker Livingston's not alone. I mean, DJ Lagway just took a visit to Florida State. I saw 2 Kentucky players transfer to Louisville yesterday. A couple of years ago, Trevor Etienne went from Florida to Georgia. It's a different world that we live in 2026. And look, at some point, somebody at Oklahoma is going to end up transferring to Texas. So all of you Sooner fans dunking on the horns today, just know that that's going to happen sometime down the line. Honestly, though, the thought of that makes me throw up in my mouth because I want my rivalries to mean something. For the Longhorn football team, the sting of this will go away if Texas is able to sign Cam Coleman, or really, there are a number of receivers available in the portal right now that are upgrades over Parker Livingston. So there are a few names that can help this Longhorn offense be even better in 2026. So I think the team will get over this, and it won't take long at all. But the fans, Longhorn Nation, you out there, and you tell me if I'm wrong in the comments below. I can't speak for everybody. I'm not the Lorax of Longhorn Nation. But I think for the majority of Texas fans, Parker Livingston just created a grudge that is going to last until the end of time. See you on October 10th, Parker. Should be fun. All right. What say you? Do you agree with me? Are you okay with this decision? I think it's a certain line that you just don't cross, and Parker Livingston crossed it. Let's shift gears here. How about some really good news for Texas out of the portal? We needed this. Last night, the Longhorns picked up a cornerback commitment. What is Texas getting with Bo Mascoe? We'll talk about it next right here on Locked On Longhorns. Oh, but first, a word for our friends at FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel is giving fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before all the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, it's become appointment viewing because of NBA Happy Hour. If you open up the FanDuel app during that time, you're going to find boosts, you're going to find bonuses, you're going to find surprises, something new every single week. The timing is perfect right before the games, right before the weekend starts. You can add a little extra energy to your Friday night basketball watching without having to overthink it. So before tip-off every Friday, check the FanDuel app to see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Again, Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Don't forget about the Locked On Everydayer Club. This is another great way to support what we're building while also giving you access to a number of exclusive perks. If you want to take your Locked On fandom to another level, join the Everydayer Club to get this show and every Locked On show ad-free with no interruptions, plus members-only Discord access and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnLonghorns.com, LockedOnLonghorns.supercast.com, easy for me to say, or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Last night, the Texas Longhorns landed their 6th commitment of the portal cycle, getting a pledge from former Rutgers cornerback Bo Mascoe. 5'11", 185 pounds, spent the first 3 years of his college career at Rutgers, and he was recruited and signed by current Texas defensive backs coach Mark Orfe. That really helped in this recruitment, the fact that those guys already had a pre-established relationship. As soon as Masco entered the portal, there was some scuttlebutt about him coming to Texas. He took a visit on Monday. Things went really well, and ultimately he decided to pledge to the Longhorns. Texas wasn't alone, though. Masco took a visit to Ohio State yesterday. He had an interest from a number of Power 4 schools across America. He is a top 5 ranked portal cornerback. I think he was number 4 at last check. So this is a good get for the Longhorns. Masco, a ton of experience. An incoming senior named All Big Ten honorable mention by the coaches and the media in 2025. Started all 12 games for the Scarlet Knights, recorded an interception, had 2 forced fumbles, had 6 pass breakups in 2025. Look, some of y'all might have heard Rutgers and wanted to change the episode, but we're talking about a cornerback here. So don't think of the team he played for. Think of the teams he played against. Masco is battle-tested from playing in the Big Ten these last few years. He was the number 1 cornerback on a Rutgers team that played against Oregon, that played against Ohio State, that played against Washington, and a number of other solid Big Ten teams this year. Started every game, logged more than 590 snaps. He's got a ton of experience. Played a lot in 2024 too. Wasn't a full-time starter, but saw action in every game for the Scarlet Knights last year, and again, was elevated into the starting job this season. There's a lot to like about his game. And maybe what I like the most about Bo Mascoe and why I think he's a potential fit here, and I believe I talked about this a little bit last week when we were profiling him once he entered the portal. Bo Mascoe played a bunch of man coverage, and more specifically, he played a lot of press man coverage at Rutgers this past year. That is a change, maybe the number 1 change that I want to see from the Texas secondary under Will Muschamp compared to what we saw from Pete Kwiatkowski. Y'all know this. Texas played a lot of soft off coverage and a lot of soft zone under PK. I want to see more physicality. That may be the change I am most excited about with Coach Boom taking over and Blake Gideon returning as the Texas secondary coach as well. More physicality. And I think Will Muschamp is looking for more physical play from the Texas defensive backs. The good news is that's not a big change from Bo Mascoe. He's already done that. He's very familiar with that style of coverage. Rutgers was top 20 in the country in terms of the amount of man coverage they played as a defense. So it's not trying to fit a square peg into a round hole with Bo Mascoe. He fits the vision for Coach Boom and this new look Texas defense in 2026. He's also a very willing tackler as well. Improved there in 2025. I mean, he checks a lot of boxes. Played in the Big Ten, extensive experience, more than 1,100 snaps over the last couple of seasons. He fared pretty well against elite competition, was solid against Ohio State and Oregon, going up against some of the best wide receivers in college football. Obviously, he has some familiarity with the Longhorns coaching staff, with Mark Orfe. So Bo Mascoe, again, fills a serious need for Texas at cornerback, but he's also a guy who checks a number of boxes with everything that he's been able to put on his resume through the first 3 years of his college career. And again, Texas was in the market for a corner. Manny Muhammad declaring early he's off to the NFL. Jalen Gilbo out of eligibility. He's off to the NFL. Texas needed some help, and really they needed some more experience at that cornerback spot, and they just got it. You know, looking at the Texas corner room as a whole, there's a lot of talent there, but a lot of that talent is young, and a lot of it is pretty unproven. You've got Cade Phillips, who will be going into year 2. Kind of took over for Jalen Gilbo down the stretch as the number 2 corner for Texas. Super excited about him. He's a future number 1 guy on this Texas defense. Kobe Black made some big plays late this year. He'll be going into year 3. Warren Roberson coming back next year. You've got a couple of freshmen coming in with Smoke Matthews and Hayward Howard Jr. as well. Again, a lot of talent. Texas has recruited really well there, but not a ton of proven commodities on the back end on defense. And I mean, the secondary just needs to be a lot better in 26. There's no doubt about that. Texas had one of the best pass defenses in America in 2024. It's a big part of why they played for an SEC title and won a couple of games in the college football playoff. That secondary took a massive step back in 2025. Part of the reason why Dwayne Aquina is no longer here. Part of the reason why PK is no longer here. So Texas needed some upgrades there. Bo Mascoe is an upgrade. And again, not only is he a good player, but he is a good guy for those younger dudes to learn from as well. We will see if Texas tries to add one more corner. I think at this point, they are more focused on other needs in the portal, including safety. I think when it's all said and done, Texas will add 3 total transfers in their defensive backfield. They've got 1 with Bo Mascoe. I think they will for sure get a safety. We will see if they go corner or safety for that 3rd player. But again, a guy at a serious position of need and a very good player. I think he's the most talented player of the 6 portal pickups that the Longhorns have added so far. So nice to see. Nice to hear. Much needed good news, because there was a lot of bad news for Texas fans during the day. Last night, we were rewarded for some patience with the Bo Mascoe pickup. What say you? Your thoughts on this one? Where do you think the Longhorns need to go next? Would love to get y'all's thoughts in the comments below. All right, 1 segment to go on a Wednesday show. Seems like Texas has honed in on a portal running back. Let's talk about Raleek Brown and give you the latest on his recruitment next on Locked On Longhorns. How about first, a word for our friends at Ruiette. Let's talk about something that most men don't bring up, but absolutely should. That's stress from work, from money, from life. And unfortunately, it doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Ruiette Ready is designed to help you take back control. Ruiette Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Ruiette Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients into 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. We're talking about 15 minutes on average. So you can stay present, you can stay confident, and you can stay in control whenever the moment is right. It is easy to understand why more than 150,000 men have already made the switch to Ruiette. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now is the time. Head to Ruiette.com/LockedOnCollege. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. It's Ruiette ready. Feel present. Feel confident. Feel ready. All right, final segment, Wednesday edition, Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Yesterday's news surrounding Jaden Ball hurt a lot, but considering the fact that Jaden Ball never entered the portal, it didn't come as too much of a surprise that he made the announcement that he was staying at Florida for another season. Obviously a disappointment. Texas fans were hopeful after the Longhorns hired Jabbar Jalouk that Jaden Ball was going to be following his former running back coach to Austin. It did not happen. Regardless of how or why it went down, Jaden Ball no longer an option. So Steve Sarkisian, Jabbar Jalouk, and the Longhorns, they need to shake up their search. And it sounds like the search for a new running back may not be going on for too much longer, because it feels like the Horns have narrowed their focus on Arizona State transfer Raleek Brown, who is currently the top-ranked uncommitted running back in the portal. Last night, Pete Nakos of On3 predicted that Raleek Brown was going to end up at Texas. He's usually pretty tied in, so I feel confident about that pick. Also, 24/7 Sports made that crystal ball prediction too. So we've got a couple of reasons for optimism if you are a fan of Raleek Brown. Little background, I know we've talked about him a couple of times on this show, but for those of you who need a refresh or tuning in for the first time, shout out to you. Raleek Brown has spent the last 2 seasons at Arizona State, spent the first 2 years of his college career at USC, more than 1,100 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns in 2025, averaged just over 6 yards a carry for the Sun Devils. Also had 34 receptions and a couple of receiving touchdowns as well. He has game-changing speed. He did not play much in 2024 at Arizona State. Obviously, Texas and ASU played in the Peach Bowl in the college football playoff last year. Raleek Brown did not participate in that game, but again, put up some pretty gaudy numbers this season. He would undoubtedly provide more of a spark on outside or off tackle runs due to that burst and speed that he possesses. Texas didn't really have that in 2025. There was no real home run ability in the backfield this year. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Raleek Brown is Jaden Ball. He's not. And that's why we're disappointed that Jaden Ball isn't coming to Texas. But I can sit here and tell you that Raleek Brown is a better running back than anybody Texas had on its 2025 roster. And comparing him to Trey Wisner, he had more yards, more touchdowns, more yards per carry, more catches, more receiving yards, a higher PFF grade, a higher broken tackle rate, a higher breakaway percentage, more 10-yard runs, more 15-yard runs. The list goes on. And I'm not saying that to dunk on Trey Wisner. I know the lack of Wisner stats are not all his fault at all. The offensive line wasn't nearly good enough. I don't think the coaching was good enough for Texas this season. So it wasn't all Trey Wisner's fault that his numbers were what they were. But I just think Raleek Brown is a more dynamic and explosive tailback. Like the times where Trey Wisner did have holes and the times where he was able to break free, he usually got tracked down in the open field. It's not what I'm looking for from a running back at the University of Texas. Raleek Brown is a 4.4 guy who has borderline elite foot speed and agility. He's very fast. He can make guys miss in space, and he's got the type of skill set to turn, an 8-yard run into a 58-yard run in the blink of an eye. He would really, really help. I've seen a number of Jaden Blue comparisons for Raleek Brown in terms of the home run ability and the threat as a pass catcher. We all remember that Jaden Blue was a fantastic piece for the Texas Longhorns in 2024, and they severely missed him in 2025 because they didn't have that element to their offense. But with Jaden Blue, he was never a 25 to 30 touch guy. You would never use the word bell cow to describe Jaden Blue's career at the University of Texas. I kind of feel that way about Raleek Brown. I don't think he should be a 25, 30 touch guy. I think he's a 15 to 18 touch. I think that's the sweet spot right there. And my hope is that Texas adds Raleek Brown. That news could come as soon as today, considering the fact that Jabbar Jalouk did an in-home visit with Brown yesterday, and Jalouk is going to be on the University of Texas campus today. My hope is we get that good news today. But again, the second part of my hope, my wishful thinking, is that the Longhorns add another running back out of the portal to pair with Raleek Brown. If you do that, again, you give him 15 to 18 touches and you have a really nice number 2, then I think you're cooking with bacon grease. Now, could Christian Clark be that number 2? Perhaps. Could Derek Cooper come in as a true freshman and be that number 2? Perhaps. Go back to 2023, CJ Baxter as a true freshman. Actually started the season as the Longhorns' number 1 tailback. Jonathan Brooks took over. He was the guy, but CJ Baxter was a very, very nice number 2 in his first year on the 40 acres. Maybe that's what Derek Cooper can be for Steve Sarkisian's offense in 2026. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Texas tries to bring in one more running back. They need quantity, too. They could use some more quality, but they just need some bodies, considering they lost 4 in the portal and they only signed 2 out of high school. They need more. Of course, you've got 20 more scholarships to play with as well. So I don't think Raleek Brown will be the only tailback that Texas adds for the upcoming season. But it doesn't stop with running back, guys. Y'all know this. I'm sure some of y'all have already commented this before I got to it. You got to get some offensive linemen. That's the news we need to see over the coming days here. I mean, any of these running backs, even Jaden Ball, without upgrades to the big uglies up front, that's like buying a Lamborghini when you live in a trailer park. It just doesn't make sense. A lot of your run game is a product of what your offensive line looks like. The Texas offensive line was a massive issue throughout the entirety of the 2025 season. They need some more help there. It's good that Trevor Goosby's coming back. It's good that Brandon Baker's coming back. We'll see what happens with Connor Robertson, but the Longhorns need to add 2, preferably 3, maybe even 4 O-linemen in the portal. That's the news that I'm hoping we see soon. I'm glad they got a defensive tackle. I'm glad they got a corner. I'm glad they got some special teamers. Offensive line, the biggest priority for Texas. It helps the run game, but more importantly, it protects your most important asset on your roster with Arch Manning. Got to find a way to get some big boys here in Austin in the not too distant future. So there you go. Raleek Brown, a name to know. Hopefully we get some good news for him. Again, I think he's a better running back than anybody Texas had in 2025. He's not going to move the needle. Some people will call it a failure. And look, he wasn't Texas's number 1 choice. I won't flip the script or make up a narrative here, but I do think he is going to provide a lot to this Longhorn offense should he end up on the 40 acres. That'll do it for today's episode. If you made it this far, number 1, God bless you. Number 2, please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, rate 5 stars, all of those things. Can't thank y'all enough for your continued support of Locked On Longhorns. More transfer portal news. Talk a little Texas basketball as well in the next episode. We've got you covered. This is your Texas football transfer portal headquarters. No need to go anywhere else. But that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.